Well, one of the big tech topics of 2025 and beyond is artificial intelligence. Seems every time we start to learn something new, there are new advances in the technology.
ChatGPT is a popular app, but a new one called Deepseek took smartphone users by storm to kick off the year. Here to talk about how it works and what it could mean for the AI race, Tim Gillen from Terrapin Networks in Traverse City. Welcome back to the show, Tim.
Good morning.
So this has been flooding all across social media, the new DeepSeek, and how it is much less of a power drain than ChatGPT is, in that it actually works better because of how it was built. Demystify this a bit for us, sir.
Yeah, and it's a Chinese company, so some of the numbers as far as how cheap it is, we don't have complete transparency on. But by all appearances, it is radically simpler to accomplish the same outcomes as like what we're used to with OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, the large language, Google's Gemini, Microsoft's offering, and so forth. One of the things that DeepSeek does is it breaks out requests into small pieces. Where actually, oddly enough, maybe the more we kind of read about this, it seems odd that we'll just take OpenAI as an example. By definition, if I ask it how to change the oil in a 2016 Ford, it runs across all of its information to tell me that answer. Whereas DeepSeek will just go to just one part of their whole large language model, the LLM, and see what do I need to know for this part here. Keep in mind, when you ask an artificial intelligence app of any kind how to change the oil in a 2016 Ford, it first has to know all the Ford models, all the motor models, how internal combustion engines work. Sometimes people will get confused. I've been accused of this. Someone asked me what time it is, and I tell them how to build a watch. We all know people like that. That's actually how AI works when it goes farther back than just how to build a watch. So what DeepSeek has done has broken those out into very small components. Well, when they're broken out in small components, each one requires less processing power. You're not processing the entire bank of information, the entirety of everything. You're just processing the parts that are requested. So when you pay for ChatGPT, which came from the OpenAI model, which was supposed to be open source, therefore free, and is now for profit, that's one of the controversies with it. When you pay your $200 a month for a lot of these commercial applications for it, you're paying for that processing power. Those are referred to as tokens every time you ask a question. And that is to a factor of 90% cheaper through DeepSeek, as opposed to a dollar for a million and a half or 2 million tokens, which is actually a very normal number. They're talking about 5 or 6 cents. It's a massive difference.
Yeah, that is gigantic.
Gigantic, exponential, all those big words.
That's a substantial price increase. Now,
substantial.
The other side of things is that also the server farms required to run, because that is something that's really becoming prominent all across this country. Right. We're hearing about 3 Mile Island apparently being recommissioned just to power Microsoft server farms for their AI, which is putting human beings at risk for AI. So is this a step in the right direction of hopefully kind of getting that power suck on our grid under control?
Oh, in theory, that might be the largest impact. Is the reduction in computing power that's necessary that I just described directly relates to the energy grid. You're absolutely right, Eric. It's a 1-to-1 correlation. The less processing power required, the less electricity needed to power the server farms. And because all of that computation that has to happen for you to say how to change oil in my 2016 Ford requires a lot of computation back at a server farm. Well, if you can take that and reduce that by 60%, let alone maybe 80 or 90%, the power requirements are fractionally different.
Wow.
And it really changes. Now, will that mean quicker adoption? Could be. But keep in mind also, DeepSeek is a Chinese company. When you ask it questions, you're feeding the large language model. And there's been no doubt, this has been proven many times just in the last couple of weeks. A lot of the answers that Deepseek gives us has a Chinese government CCP flavor to it. It
Yeah.
does. Now they'll probably, if they want to make any real headway with this, they'll need to tamp that down, but they may not tamp it down. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on too.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, I want to get into that, but the whole server farm concept, I mean, AI itself is advancing so rapidly that it also seems like the server farm technology should be advancing rapidly. And I almost wonder I just wonder if we're getting ahead of ourselves. Like we've got these, I mean, at the pace of local governments or federal governments, we all know how long it takes just to get a permit for a, I don't know, for a liquor license, much less to build a server farm. By the time some of these permits go through and things could be built, all of a sudden the technology is that much different that, oh, well, actually we don't need 4,000 acres. We only need 100.
Oh, there's no doubt. And that's one of the risks of the whole thing. But I think that's why we notice as just regular folks, we notice so many of these things getting fast-tracked at a very high level. The battery plant down in Big Rapids or outside of Big Rapids got fast-tracked compared to any other, because the government, I guess we'll just call it that writ large, saw value to that. So a lot of that permitting happens much quicker. But here's your point that I think you're making, which is a really good one. All right, this all permits gets great. We got this great big data center, and now it turns out we only need 25% of it. Now what do we do with it?
Right.
And just like there's big solar farms getting shut down because they don't generate the kind of electricity. Now you've already got 150 acres covered in solar panels. Now what? And this is it's part of a problem of civilization. One of the things that's happened in Detroit over the years is their population went down by 20%. Well, now their infrastructure was just really difficult to support. And that's led to a lot of half-empty blocks, for example. So a lot of these best intentions, when there's a technology leap, like there might be here, time will tell. The next 6 months, I think, will tell us a lot. But these technology leaps can suddenly lead to, now we're trying to, it's maybe not unlike how a lot of shopping malls are being repurposed for storage and ice skating rinks and stuff, because we don't need them anymore for the shopping. When for 20 years, that was a major development in every city, was the mall that was going in, or the massive shopping center. So these things do have a way of shifting. You'd think that the server farms will always have some kind of of applicable use for computing power, but will it be necessarily as much for AI if this Deepseek points us in a direction where AI models, large language models, can be built with a fraction of the processing power? That's a big sea change in the overall technology picture. You're absolutely right.
Now, I guess the issue I'm having here is there are so many companies all trying to race each other to some unknown finish line that even they can't tell us what the actual finish line is for them.
Yeah.
And it seems like a new AI company is jumping into the mix every other week. And each of these different companies need titanic server farms to even get their AI system off the ground.
Right.
Would it be better, Tim, if there was a kind of a bit of a consolidation here? Because it kind of seems like, at least the Chinese government, they're putting all of their attention on the Deepseek, making it the best product they can with the tools at their disposal. Whereas here in the States, it seems like we have 100 different companies all fighting each other for dominance, and that's not really going to put us at the forefront of these advancements.
No, and I think that's what Deepseek sort of exposed. I mean, NVIDIA, which has been going crazy as a stock price, and has been going crazy because of their ability for processing power. And NVIDIA, of course, really made their name in the gaming world with GPUs, graphic processing units, and started figuring out, boy, the way we're so good at stacking up CPUs, this could be really valuable in server farms for AI. And that's why we've seen the stock price of NVIDIA go through the roof. It dropped 17% in about 6 hours last week. I mean, that's $600 billion just went away just like that. I mean, it's like quite shocking. And to your point, we're jumping on these variety of bandwagons, and maybe the whole thing needs to settle down just a little bit
Let's
and
pump the brakes
consolidate
just
it and
slightly.
get some direction. I completely agree. I think you're right there. Yeah.
Tim, we've got about 30 seconds left, so short answer here. How much effort and attention into R&D, research and development, do you think our U.S. companies are doing now with Deepseek coming out? How much attention are they paying to that? How much understanding are they trying to gain of how it works so we can modify some of our own systems so we don't have these problems that we're talking about?
Well, my hunch is that that's been every technology and programming development meeting in the last week and a half has been all about that. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I think all of them are saying, okay, whoa. This idea of putting it all in one great big giant room and all the data, and we just have a really fast way of going through all the filing cabinets. Maybe that's not the best way to do it. And these types of programming applications have very high end of programming power. By that I mean the brain's developing it. They're looking at this. There's no doubt they're looking at this and reverse engineering this.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing how they may have been overdoing some of this in an unnecessary way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, always great to have you with us. Thanks for the insight.
Oh,
Tim
yeah.
Gillen from Terrapin Networks in Traverse City. Good to have
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Have a great
Thanks
day.
so much, Tim.
Thanks, friend.